Culture Brands Talks. I am your host, Ill Ego CEO, with my co-host, Deion Wizard Stick Larry, which is the nickname we just came up with today at the gym.
Yeah.
Deion, thanks for joining us again. It's good to have you back.
No problem.
And we have our first guest today, Eric Sweeney. He is the captain over at Power by Design Fitness at Metroflex Gym, a.k.a. the Mad Scientist. And I think we'll learn today why we call him that, because this guy's just a encyclopedia of information, especially in the topic we're going to talk about today, which is mentality. I think Eric brings a good wealth of knowledge from a scientific side, understanding physiology and all that stuff like that as well. So it should be a fun conversation. He'll fill in the gaps where we're just a couple lame dudes talking about the grind and the grunt work that you do when it comes to mentality, and then he'll break it down for us in a scientific matter. Maybe
I'll do my best.
Maybe I'm giving you more credit than you deserve.
We're gonna find out.
But anyways, man, thanks for joining us today for our modcast. This is officially our first guest appearance, and though you are part of the Ill Ego Culture Brands family, you're still a guest on this show. And so we're gonna have some fun and talk about some pretty good topics.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, not just about fitness in general. I'm sure that's where we're going to start from, and we'll segue from there. But mentality is a huge aspect of anything fitness related, I think, especially when you're committing to an actual fitness goal, competition, athletics, anything along those lines. But also just in general in life, you find that mentality is huge. The way you respond to things, the way you perceive things, the way you look at certain situations, the way you handle life, your children, your relationships, all of that stuff has to do with mentality. And so we're just going to kind of break that down from our experiences. This isn't us saying we're subject matter experts in the area of mentality, but we're going to offer from our point of view and from the things that we've been through some information that we understand and that we've dealt with. And if it touches anybody, connects with anybody, then cool. If not, no big deal. Yeah. So first, let's just kind of get into it a little bit and talk about what mentality means to all of us. And I'll let any one of you just kind of take it from there. And
buddy.
let's initiate Eric here.
I mean, in terms of breaking down mentality, like what does mentality mean to me is, for one, we got to look at confidence. We got to look at. Am I too far away?
You just got to keep your face up against it.
I know. I'm not used to eating microphones. I mean, it's your everyday actions. It's how you look at a situation. It's how you help somebody, in my terms, help somebody reference their situation. A good example, I think actually it was in our previous attempt at this. You said, waking up at 3:30, 3:50 in the morning just to go help people. Like that, believe me when I say it's not something I want to do, but it's something I choose to do because, for one, it helps me to accomplish my goals and feel successful. For two, it hurts a little bit.
Yeah.
And I need that every day. And for three, it helps me to start the day with that exact discipline that I need in order to keep. But really, I'm gonna spin circles on you guys if you just let me go.
Yeah.
It's what I do it's what I do. I spin circles.
in terms of talking, you mean? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Got you.
Yeah.
So, mentality, I like the way you're leading it, because it is a little bit of everything, and it is, how you respond to things and stuff like that too. But mentality, I think, plays a bigger role that people don't understand too, because like you said, it's not something you want to do in terms of getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning. It's something that you're choosing to do, or that you understand you have to. And that right there is mentality, right? Like it's how you're viewing the situation. I think it was Bob Proctor, and I know you're big on him too, who was telling a story about, people saying, how do you guys enjoy, living in these patterns or these systems every day where, you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, or you don't go to bed till 3 o'clock in the morning. And his response is, none of us millionaires or hugely successful people in their own rights, none of us actually enjoy doing it. That's why we live off of patterns and we write everything down and we have schedules and stuff, because the fact of the matter is nobody truly enjoys the mental discipline it takes to become something or to achieve goals. Everybody that's doing it just understands it has to be. It's a necessity, right? So whether you want to do it or not is where the mentality comes in, because half the things I think that we do, we don't want to do.
That's why some people are millionaires and some people aren't.
Correct.
Because some people will push into the pain and some people won't.
Yeah, they're going to do the things that people don't necessarily want to do. And it doesn't mean that they like it or they enjoy doing it. It just means that they're willing to do it because they understand it's a necessity to get to whatever it is they're trying to get to.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
The way I look at it is you do things to generate a certain outcome that you're expecting, and what you're gonna have to do might be not something you want to do, but you want that outcome so bad that you're gonna do what it takes.
Right.
You get out what you put in.
Absolutely. I'll give a cool example because today is officially my last day of 75 hard.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you, Eric. You know, because you're on the ground. You're about a
One
week
more week.
behind me. Yeah. It's been.
One more week.
You want to talk about mentality though? Like this has been a true testament to mentality. It really has, because especially with us, we're getting the cold weather and stuff now. It's taken a lot out of me mentally, and it's also given me a lot of mental fortitude because I understand how much I have to put in to something that I don't truly want to do. And I can tell you a good majority of this process in 75 hard has been shit I did not want to do. And it's not even because, oh my God, it's so hard, because some of it wasn't. Some of my second workout sometimes was just a walk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's like, I didn't want to do that because I have so much other shit to do. You know, I the whole time throughout this, I kept wrestling with my mentality on like, okay, this is cool, but it's not conducive to my lifestyle. I get the point, but it's not conducive to my, I kept going back and forth with that. I quit every day, but didn't actually like literally quit, but just in my mind, I was like, fuck, you know, and Kayla was doing it with me. She finished a day ahead of me because I actually failed day one and had to start over. So she finished a day ahead of me. And, so yesterday was her last day, and there were so many times where she just had to like put her coat on, get ready, and start walking out the door, knowing I would just follow. Because you know what I mean? She's just like, she's accustomed to me, you know, and half the walk I'm bitching and, oh, it's this, it's that. It's not, we're not even getting any work done. It's so damn cold out here. And, you know, like we're not even burning calories. We're just proving to ourselves that we're not afraid of the cold air. And, you know, but I want to sweat to burn calories. So it was all mentality. It was the way I was, you know, framing everything that I was seeing or experiencing. And then some of it was me bitching out a little bit. You know what I mean? Yeah. I never bitched out all the way because I got pushed, and vice versa. I pushed her a few times too, but it was, to me, this was one of the biggest testaments to mentality because of how much goes into it, as well as how much I already have on my plate to do on a daily basis with multiple businesses, doing content, social media. For the most part, I think we filmed throughout this whole process of 75 hard with the exception of the last couple weeks. Yeah. So it's like everything in play. Did I want to even do this today? Not necessarily, because it's my last day. I'm trying to grind through everything and get it done. You know what I mean?
We got a ton of work.
And we got an event tonight that we're going to and stuff. So, mentality is a part of everything that we do. And half the time we don't realize when we're dealing with mentality. We see things as just like decision making, you know, and sometimes decision making has to take some mentality to help you make the right decision. And I think that's where a lot of people understand mentality versus just decision making. Like, you know, there's a yes and no answer to some things, and then there's some things where you might want to say no to, but the answer should be yes, and that's where your mentality comes into play so that you can get some shit done.
I'd say that's a great thing about 75 Hard itself, is like you start to become aware. And me being a coach and helping people through, I probably have gotten quite a bit more tough over the last, 70 days so far with my clients, because there's a point where like we just can't coddle anymore. You know what I mean? If they want to get themselves to the point that they truly desire, that they truly dream, they're going to need to push into the uncomfortable. Yeah. And like, you can't coddle against that. You got to help them. That's a little bit of a drill sergeant. Yeah. But I notice, I find myself noticing that, and then all of a sudden, not only am I dealing with the bitch voice, but I got the ego on the other side going, look at these fucking people, and I got to be like, hey man, they're not you. Yeah. They haven't been through what you've gone through. They haven't done, the stupid, crazy shit that you've done. They haven't, pulled themselves. Well, maybe they have, but we all respond different. Yeah. So it's like, you gotta, I find like, me being in this center point, I find both sides tugging at me a little bit, and it's this constant homeostasis that I have to find. Yeah. But
which requires a lot of mentality on your part as well to tough through it daily, I'm sure.
I woke up at 3:30 one morning, drove in a blizzard up to Fargo so I could walk outside in a blizzard before 13 hours of coaching. Yeah. It is what it is.
This stuff's crazy, isn't it? Like this is the best part about 75 hard. I don't want to make this a 75 hard discussion, but it's just a weird coincidence because we're right here, you know. And you didn't do 75 hard, but you just finished the prep.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's the same concept. The only thing I'm doing different, like my coach DeAndre is programming me throughout this, right? And the only thing different really is he had to take down some of the cardio he wanted to give me because I'm already doing so much workout with this. And so the only difference though is sometimes I would get a cheat meal in the bodybuilding prep side of things. This whole 75 days I haven't had a cheat or a refeed even, because you're not supposed to. But literally the biggest difference between 75 hard and being in prep was reading 10 pages a day, having an app to check everything off that you're supposed to get done on a daily basis, which I think is really fucking cool. And if someone could come up with one of those for prep, I think you would help. You
can't say that out loud.
Nah, yeah. We're good. People are lazy. They're not going to do the work, bro. Like, that's what Andy says all the time. I don't mind sharing my shit because you motherfuckers ain't going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
But the reality of it is, it was like that self accountability, checking that off. And like, if you check it off and say you did it and go to complete the day, or you forgot to check something, Andy shows up and he's like, "Are you sure you did that shit? Are you sure? Use your integrity." And you're just like, "Holy shit!" Like, all right, this is pretty real. Like, it's weird how much like self discipline it gives you. Right. But that's the difference, man. Is the 10 pages a day, and being able to check off everything for accountability. Otherwise, you're in prep. Mm-hmm. The only difference with prep is you get a refeed or a cheat meal once in a while. You know what I mean? So you did the work essentially. So you're still part of the conversation and. Mentality in prep is everything, bro.
Yeah, for sure.
Deion's got what it takes.
You have the mentality.
Yeah, his coach was in 75
I was going to say,
hard.
let me say, with that being said, Eric was indeed my coach and has been for the past 4 years now, 3 years. So if you want to get shredded, you know the guy.
Ooh, nice plug.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, you got to have the mentality for it.
Yeah,
still,
first.
Right?
I mean, it's not something everybody can do, but if you're made for it, you know.
I got to have a coach with no filter.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. And my question is geared towards you in regards to that. Do you find yourself having to do a lot of mentality training as a trainer as well? Like really bring people around to understanding and get into their head to take them out of whatever funk they're in mentally and shit like that?
You know, like along with my degree in exercise science, I got a degree in psychology. It kind of came along and I had to do a couple extra classes to get it. But like, yeah, I mean, psychology is probably, it's kind of like when they say in fitness, you know, if we were to do a 3-2-1, it would be exercise, nutrition, sleep in importance. One being sleep, you know, when it comes to recovery. In terms of like, put me back on point here.
You coaching people into mentality.
Yeah,
pull your mic closer. Like
it's
you talk this way.
Yeah, you're talking around.
Talk all this out of my mouth.
No, but just pull your mic to that direction, and you'll always talk into it. Yeah.
But
there you go.
Yeah, that actually does help a lot better. But in terms of that, like, mentality is a huge part. You know, like I have people that can't do check-ins because it messes with them. Well, how do we give them enough autonomy to get them to still nail the few things, you know?
Yeah.
Like everybody has a little bit of or not a little bit, everybody has a different like set point when it comes to psychology. And if we're not playing that first, I mean, that's a relationship. Like that should be first. Because if you want anybody to trust you, like you got to get them to buy into who you are as a person. So like, if you're not doing that first, you know, then you get people focused strictly on the failures that they're not, you know, like that their lack of success because they don't have somebody coaching them in to take those wins.
Right.
Yeah, so it's got to be really difficult dealing with people who aren't as hardcore mentality driven as you, and then not saying they have to be, but like their mentality is so different from what yours is. It has to be tough. Like I'm sure your wife is constantly reminding you, hey, they aren't you. Like you said, like my girl reminds me of that all the time. Like these people aren't you. They don't handle things the same way you do.
Hey, my wife does the same thing.
I know. My wife's straight thug wife, man.
Here we are having the podcast about mentality, and the reality of it is our wives are the stronghold.
I was talking to my wife about 75 hard and like, you know, because I thought I was done on Friday and then I was done on Saturday and I was, you know, like, you know, it's funny because my bitch voice came on and I was like kind of whining in my head. So I was giving it to her and she looked at me and she's like, like when you started this, you said there were no bends or breaks. She's like, why would you think that a week towards the end, like of all the times, it's okay to do this?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like she just held me accountable.
Yeah, that's dope.
That's the best.
But see, it's because they understand our mentality though too. They know that we want this, and so they're right there to help assist us and push us towards what we need to get done.
Whatever it takes.
But yeah, with that being said, do you have to, like, you said the psychology of it? Yeah, you help them gear towards that mentality. But do you find it very difficult to get those people to adapt a stronger mindset towards, like,
Everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody. You know, like for one, how many of my clients read a book a month?
Right.
You know, so like,
That's
believe me
been
when I
huge,
say I'm
too.
pushing that. I mean, yeah, like you're saying you're trying to read it one a week. I'm trying to read anywhere between 3 and 5 a month. That's where I'm at. If I hit 3, I'm not going to feel bad about it.
Right.
You know what I mean? But like if there's one thing in this world that I could tell anybody, and when it comes to mentality, when it comes to just confidence, everything, like read books, man, read books, learn, educate every single day, turn the TV off unless it's educational.
Yeah.
You know, do it, because I promise after a year, you're going to be a different person.
Yeah.
Period.
Sooner if you're reading.
Well, absolutely.
Yeah. No, I'm
but
dead serious.
I mean, like I've been doing this for a few years, and even like everything started clicking in the last year, and the last 5 months, especially. Like all of a sudden, I'm a different person.
Yeah.
And it's crazy.
Like it's more than just. I feel like where I'm at right now after going through the 75 hard, because this is what really incorporated my reading to be something I did on a daily basis. I've always been kind of a reader, but not as strong as I have been recently, especially with being busy. You think, oh, you don't have time. Well, you change your mentality about that when you take on a challenge.
Right.
Now all of a sudden I'm reading every fucking day, 7 days a week. I'm training twice a day, 7 days a week. You know, haven't had a cheat meal or refeed, and my mentality is just so different. But it was almost forced that way because I accepted a challenge. But reading, I think, tenfold increased my mentality. You know, because I'm not just you can't just read. You have to read nonfiction, right?
No, I don't. Why would I read a fiction book?
Right.
Anyways,
But that's the rule. It's like you can't just read like fantasy books and bullshit. You got to read shit that actually contributes to helping your mentality and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
So I've been reading tons of leadership books, business books, growth books, marketing, like just anything that's relatable to what I'm doing in business and as a person and in growth, anything that would advance me. Reading literally changed my mentality, because the common trend amongst all these people who are writing these books and being successful and being multimillionaires and being the best at whatever they're doing is that every single one of them had to have a certain type of mentality to get to a certain point to where they're now writing a book telling us how to do it or how they did it. But it's literally like across the board, everyone says the same thing: mentality. You have to that work harder mentality, right? The just fucking do it, like regardless of whether you want to do it or not, or this is the path, and there's always a reward here if you just stick to it. Like, yes, it sucks now, and it's hard, and it isn't easy, and it never will be. So you have to develop this mentality. Well, seeing and reading other people's stories about how they succeeded and got to certain points, you identify like, damn, they had to instill this mentality in themselves to really take it for the long haul. And so I think that helped me a lot. Like, I don't get as angry, and not because of 75 hard, because I've been doing work for the past few years now, working, we talk a lot about, the physiology and manifestation, quantum, physics, all that stuff. That's all contributed to a change of my mentality. But then going into 75 hard, I think I've read 6 books total for 75 hard alone, maybe more actually, just in 75 hard. Yeah, just in 75 hard. But it's just increased my understanding of mentality, and I think that's part of why we wanted to talk about it. It's just, I get it. There's nothing I can do successfully if I don't have a certain type of mentality. And the other thing I'm noticing is your mentality changes from one thing to the next too. You know what I mean? Like, you have to have a different mentality in how you approach everything if you want things to be different and you want things to grow and change. You can't just come in with the same mentality for every single thing that you approach or that you have to deal with, because that mentality might not work for the next thing.
Yeah, and
vice versa.
Sadly, we recorded what we recorded last week and it's not out, but this ties in very well with what we talked about last week. That'll maybe come out next week.
Yeah.
So
or it won't. And my mentality about it is fuck it.
yeah, I mean, that's okay.
Right? Like
For
big
sure.
deal. I'm not going to stress on it because I could. You guys have seen, anyone that's watching these and keeping up, you've seen the previous episodes we put out.
Yeah.
The topics or the subject matter are decent. But the quality and the editing and shit is kind of shitty.
Yeah,
but I
that's
didn't want to
okay.
care about that. I didn't want to get hung up on that because then we'd never get an episode out, right?
Well, and you got to
So,
take reps. You know
growing
what I mean?
pains, yeah.
You don't just get to start and go 100. You know what I
Nah,
mean?
yeah,
You
it doesn't
you
work.
got to go from 0 to 100.
If it worked that way, we'd never fucking learn anything.
If it were that way, we wouldn't need mentality.
Right,
You
straight
know,
up.
like if the door feels easy to go through, don't go fucking through that door.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Pick the hard door.
Yeah. One thing, like an example from more recently for me is, we did a 6-month prep is what we did. So
Natural, baby.
yeah, a natural 6-month prep, and it was extraordinary.
I thought you took creatine.
Yeah, up until like
Caffeine
4 weeks
too.
out, they couldn't have found
Natural,
it
huh?
anyway. But with that being said, I didn't miss a workout. I didn't switch my workout plan up. I trained every single day except for my Sunday, every week for that 6 months. The first workout that I missed off plan was a couple weeks ago when I was sick. So,
Right, but
and then I
yeah.
made it up, and I
You
didn't
know,
actually.
we ran it 22 weeks out for that reason, though.
Exactly.
Because, I mean, look, like coming in naturally is harder.
It is.
You know, it's a lot harder. And you got to, like, give yourself time for, you know, plateaus and for mentality breaks. Sometimes happen, too.
Yeah.
I mean, not everybody's Deion. Just kill the game all the way through. He's meant to do this
Well,
shit.
Deion confessed that his mentality for bodybuilding was like spot on the whole way, but
Yep.
a lot of other areas had to be sacrificed.
For sure.
It was kind of what we talked about in the one that we just recorded last
Yeah.
week. Is like we're talking about being half in, half out, you know, and how you have to be all in on most situations, but that there's always kind
Something
of a residual of something that has to be half in. Right. Like when you start going all in on one thing, there are going to be other things that are still of importance to
Right.
whatever it is you're doing, but those things sometimes take the back burner, and that would be you being half in on those things. And like an example we gave was like him being in prep, you know, like his relationship and business took a little bit of the back burner. Me in the same concept, me trying to grow this business and build culture and do all that. My family life kind of takes a backseat.
Ask my wife about
Yeah.
my cleaning skills at home
Yeah.
when I'm working 70 hours a week.
Yeah.
You have a
You know what I
wife
mean?
and you clean?
No, I don't.
just kidding, I'm just
But I
kidding.
But I also
We'll edit that one out. We'll edit that one.
Yeah. I also get owned often. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
for
Like
sure.
owned often.
Deion's gonna burn me for that one, even though he said
dude,
even
for
crazier
real.
things that we
I
never
know,
put
right?
out.
That was too far.
hide the weapons.
Yeah.
What you know, like if we were looking at like just bodybuilding in general, you know, I just as of recently one of the books I read was Chris Aceto's Championship Bodybuilding, and it's just, you know, I mean, it's not new, obviously not new science at all that he's bringing in this book, but it makes you just remember you know, like
It's not as commonly talked about anymore
The
with all the
basics
bro
about
science
it.
and
Oh,
stuff that's
dude.
out. His methods are super
Right.
old school.
They are, but
Yeah.
you know, short of like some of these few little like maybe cardio, I have some different interpretations than he does and whatnot. When it comes to his idea of training and understanding that there are these like fundamental exercises that have to be the base of every training program, and then, you know, based on where their level of knowledge is or their level of experience is and where their bodies are physiologically, we adapt it and we can, you know, bring in different angles or do whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
But like when you're going into prep, like that shit shouldn't change, man. You should be hitting, you know, you should be still trying to push for those 2B fibers. You know, we should still be trying to push to that 9-10 RPE. You know, we should still be driving. I mean, yeah, sure, like parameters of that scale are going to change as you reduce body fat and you slow down a little bit. But, you know, if we're like we kept your carbs real high, you know, you didn't lose a lot of muscle mass coming in.
I mean, I was getting shredded on like 2,500 calories, and like that was pulling down pretty hard. Like,
Yeah, it is.
so
Well, I mean, I know just on 75 hard, like I started, you know, in that low range. I'm now up, I think I pushed up to 3,500 calories. I actually gained.
And you're more shredded
And I'm more
as
shredded,
a result
and
of
I
75
don't
hard.
even
Yeah.
know if I gained a pound.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not even joking. I eat 1,000 more calories a day than I did when I started this shit.
If you were wondering, Eric stays residually shredded all the time, just all the time.
I like to walk the path.
Yeah.
Like, that's mentality, man. Like, if you want to be a leader, lead.
Yeah.
And lead from the front. Don't lead from the back.
Yeah.
Like, that's where I'm at.
Oh yeah.
That's where I'm at. So when I get hard on people because they're not doing their shit, because they're not paying attention, or they have excuses they want to throw at me, and I throw them right back at their face. You know, that unfortunately that's my little bit of pedestal that I can do that.
Oh yeah.
You know, because I'm gonna say it, like, if you don't outwork me, you don't got shit to say to me.
Yeah.
You know, fall in line. Let's go get it.
Yeah.
Like, let's get you to your goal, but you got to put that fucking work in.
Yeah, for sure.
Fucking crazy.
It's crazy too, because
There's no easy path.
there isn't, and mentality is involved in all of that. Mentality also plays a role outside of like fitness, in just the way that people decide to do things or interpret things, as I said. And I'll give an example of that. Yesterday I was talking to a guy in the gym. He talked to Laura, the manager at the front desk, because he wanted to know what my problem was with him, because I keep confronting him at the gym for like sneaking people in, and he's always in there with somebody in his family, and I'm just like, he's never gotten memberships for them, and he keeps saying, oh, I didn't know, and it's just like, look, there comes a time where it's just too much, and you know what you're doing, your mentality about doing this. It for some reason you think you can get away with it every time, and you can't. And then the second you get called out, you're like, oh, what's that person's problem with me? And so I saw him last night in the gym, and I just wanted to explain to him, like, hey, look, I don't have an issue with you. I understand that you think I do. I don't. I have an issue with people stealing from me. And I said that the problem for me is like, I want everyone to be at this gym. I want everyone to enjoy their experience here. If you have people that you want to bring to show them how awesome this gym is, that's great. I appreciate that. But to think that you can just sneak them in when you know we have policies after you've been told over and over, and then accuse me of calling you out or singling you out for not liking you or some shit is weird. I should feel like you don't like me because you keep disrespecting me and my policies and stealing from me at my business. You know what I mean? And I don't know what's wrong with people's minds, or why they get this mentality about them that they're innocent for doing that, because all they have to say to me is like, oh yeah, this person's probably going to sign up. And I'm like, cool, but we have a process for that.
Right. Well, and
you know
let's talk about insurance purposes. You know what I mean?
Well, that's why I told him another thing is liability, and I said that the problem with people's mentality about what the operation that we have is they see it as a mom and pop shop type situation, right? Because they have access to the ownership. Mm-hmm. And if you go to like one of these big corporate fitness centers, you don't have access to the ownership. In fact, you don't even know who the fuck owns these places. So people treat those businesses with more respect. They follow their rules a little bit better. I would like to believe it. Just the way I interpret this, right? But they just have this weird mentality about what we have going on, because they don't think, it's like they don't think we're a real business or something. You know what I mean? It's just the strangest approach to me, but we deal with it on a daily basis, and we're getting really like a lot more strict on calling people out on it, because it's not fair to the current members. You know what I mean? But
sure.
This is just my example. I'm probably rambling now, but I'm just trying to show like mentality is everything. It literally, it's not just you want to accomplish goals. It's not just that you want to win in life or be successful or have this $1 million business or do a competition or reach a fitness goal. Mentality is literally everything. And sometimes it's as simple as the way you think about things that you do is your mentality. And it could be a fucked up mentality if you're not careful with it. Like people thinking that they can just come into our gym and sneak people in on a regular basis and then act dumb about it. That says something to me about their mentality and the type of person they are. You know what I mean?
You see a guy do one thing, you see a guy do everything.
Yeah,
right?
for sure. Yeah.
So like if you're, I mean, how many red flags are there? For one, there's sneaking somebody in. For two, when it comes to being caught for something that you know you did wrong, you immediately went to place that blame and defer that blame or try to reflect it back at you.
Yeah.
And like in terms of, Metroflex being a culture brand, and in terms of like what, the sort of family that we try to instill over there, like, I mean, you're sitting on the edge, dude. Yeah. You're sitting on the edge.
But do you agree that's having a certain mentality
Oh yeah, no.
You know what I mean? Like,
like
people who have that mentality, it's a bad way to look at things. It's a bad way to approach life. They literally don't feel like they're in the wrong.
Yeah.
You know,
to the point where they're just like, dang, what's this person's problem? I mean, it's just like,
Yeah.
you need to work on your
Why are they
mentality a
picking
little
on
bit.
me?
Yeah, like
Well, the thing is, like, when you see that now, because we put work in on ourselves. I used to be that guy. They used to call me the blister because I'd show up after all the hard work's done. You know what I mean? Like they just like I used to be that guy, and it's a process. You have to want to be different, and then you have to be proactive and put enough time in. There's always that key with everything that brings success. And I'm not successful. I'm going to say that right now. Like, I'm getting there. Like, I'm blessed and I'm grateful and I love every fucking moment of my life. And I love everything that I have in my life. I'm so happy with where I'm at.
But you're not done.
But I'm not a millionaire.
You're not done.
Not yet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm going to keep grinding until I get there.
Oh, yeah.
You know, how am I going to... I see it on the compass. Do I have the systems to get there yet? No, we're putting them in place, though.
Yeah.
You know?
I agree. Same across the board, man. We're
Absolutely.
all part of the same family here. So
Yep.
yeah, that's the end goal for all of us. Anyone who has the mentality to just want a good life, want to do better, to build family, to do whatever it is, you have to have a certain mentality. And I think what people don't understand is there is good and bad mentality.
I was gonna say that too, because it's like there's mentalities aren't always good. There's
it's not just
people
a positive topic or whatever you want to call it. It definitely can be bad.
Yeah.
It's just like everything else in life. It's a dichotomy. Like, I wake up every day, and like I said, I wake up and I say I'm grateful for where I'm at and what I have, but I'm also grateful that I get to get up and literally go help. I get up at 3:30 to go help people. I get up at 2. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Like, do you understand how big of a blessing that is for me to be able to do exactly what I choose to do? The days that I choose it, I just choose to do it a lot because I enjoy doing it. You know, like, grateful.
Yeah. No, I remember like being younger and just thinking like, oh, my life is so hard. Like, that's mentality. That's a mentality thing. Like, why did I have to go through this thing? Why did I have to go through this? I blew out my knee when I was 16. Like, obviously I was down, but when I look back at it now, I'm like, I've learned so much from just that happening. If it wouldn't have happened, I wouldn't be who I am. It changed my mind for the years to come. Like, it made me way stronger mentally than I ever thought I could be. Like, I was recovering, eating food. I got up to like 205 pounds as a 16-year-old. Like, I was a chunky little kid, and then I was like, okay, it's time to freaking come back, crush legs, get massive quads. That was still working on it. Yeah.
So you're gonna start doing that sooner?
Yeah, right? I mean, I don't know. I'm still trying to work it out in my head.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
No, but you're right, man. In fact, I remember that about you early on when you first started coming around Metroflex, and then you became part of the team and everything. I remember it was like what we all talked about. Like, man, this kid's so young, but his mentality is just different. You can see it in him. He has a determination. He has this drive. He's got a focus. You know, like, you could just tell that you wanted more, and you were very receptive and open to feedback, criticism, all that stuff, and even advice and recommendation that we gave. I think that's how you started even doing competitive bodybuilding. Was people in the circle that you were in were just like, dude, you should step up. I think you would do well. And you know, like, so your mentality about a life in general at such a young age is I think above and beyond anyone else in your age group, because you're the baby here. We're old veterans here.
Real, man.
Yeah.
Like, at his age, I was still, doing math.
I don't even want to tell you what I was doing at his age.
Like, let's talk about it.
But look at where you're at your age right now in comparison to like what we could say we were doing at your age. It was nothing close to this, bro. I wasn't trying to build culture or be a part of anybody else's.
Dodging prison.
You know, it was all that stuff. Staying out of jail, not messing with cops, running the streets, like, you name it, bro. Like, it was bad, and that mentality had to change for us. But the unfortunate thing for me is it took me like well into my late 20s, like early 30s, to develop the mentality to desire fixing who I was. You know what I mean? I think if I never would have left California to begin with, I would have never developed this mindset either. You know, I would have had a mentality, it just wouldn't have been a positive one. You know what I mean? My hat's off to you, because at your age, bro, your future is super bright as long as you continue to develop and hone in on the skill set, because you've got a mentality unlike anybody else's right now in your age group, I would say. And I think you see that, and you identify even with people that are older than you. You see a lot. Like, we have a lot of conversations where you can just tell you stand out from that person's mentality.
Yeah, but I mean, it wasn't always like that. Like I said, I mean, dealing with trauma mostly, you really do bring it back, and I'm sure we all could agree. It's like when you have that trauma, you're like, why did that happen, and why did it happen to me? Mostly, like you self-pity yourself, and you think, I'm so unique and this just happened to me. No, it's happened to everybody. And that's how you have to think of it.
And here's the deal. Like, I don't want people to think that it's like, it's the end of the world to carry some pity. Like, you know, like my I've had the misfortune of taking care of both of my parents as they passed away, you know, and being there to help them until the end, you know, and then bury them. And, you know, a big driving force for me is just understanding that both those two, you know, they look down on me every day, and like, my mom was a saint. Yeah. In order for me to live up to those standards, I better fucking act right. Mm-hmm. You know, I better do things that other people aren't going to do. You know, I need to make them proud because, well, that's just who I am. Yeah. You know, and again, yeah, you have that pity right away where it's like, I don't, you know, why me, why not somebody else? And then, you know, why would you want anybody else to go through that, for
exactly.
one, and for two, why me? Because, you know, it was meant to be. Like, it was that time for you to get those scars, because it was that time for you to change your gear. But it's okay to be there. Like, you got to know contrast. Yeah. You know, in order, like, and this is also mentality. You got to know that pushing into those hard times, that experiencing those times that you never. Everybody's going to experience losing their parents. I hope they don't do it in the way that I had to, but they're going to, and that's going to happen to everybody. And you know, like, that's just part of life. Yep. But like, we got to understand that that's a contrast in life. And if we can understand that that's a contrast in life, we can understand and really be grateful and appreciate the other times, the wins. Mm-hmm. And we can know how to compass those, how to point ourselves in that direction and chase them, you know? I've done a lot of fucked up things, and I've had a lot of fucked up things happen to me in my life. And yeah, would I want to go back and relive them? No. Would I change them? Absolutely not. Period. Because I own every one of those scars.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every one.
Fuck yeah. That's a mentality.
That's good. That's mentality.
Yeah, for sure. It's a good mentality to have, because no matter what, we're always going to go through some kind of test, some kind of trial. Like you said, you know, as things are happening, you're always asking why. Like, why the fuck would this happen to me? I'm on a streak or something, you know? I think the important point to make is, when you ask yourself that question, find the answer.
Yeah.
Yep. Because a lot of people just say, Reflect. Why me? And they don't do any reflecting. They don't do any soul searching. They don't do any digging. They don't do any research. They just literally, down. It's just a sob story. It's just a why me situation. And that's that. And they want all the attention for that why me fucking shit that just came out of their mouth. But it's okay, though. Like you said, it's okay to get into a pity party. And the second that you ask yourself why, make sure you go do the fucking work and figure out why.
You know, when you're down there, when you're down there and you're chilling, like, reflect on why you're down there. What got you there? Yeah. Why you're there?
Yes.
And it's okay to feel like life's a dichotomy. Like, everything in life's a dichotomy. There's a yin and a yang. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You don't get to really understand the good shit in life. You don't get to know what success is if you haven't experienced hardships, true hardships.
Yes, for sure.
Like, true hardships.
Yeah.
And, you know, and that's just how it is. It's the dichotomy that is. I mean, like, a tree doesn't grow, you know, or a tree doesn't become stronger in its structure by sitting out there on a sunny day with no wind. Right. You know what I mean? It's the rainy days, it's the windy days that are going to build the strength of that tree.
Yeah,
you know, that's just the most basic analogy. Here was another fun one too, because you were talking about it, about that tunnel vision. Just to go back real quick, I don't remember what book it was in that I read, and maybe you've read it too, but they explained it like a flashlight, like a lighthouse, and then the executor, which, like, the person that switches between the two. And you have these three aspects in your brain, right? And we have a tendency to, like, we can sit, you know, and be in the lighthouse and see everything. But then as soon as we dial in and move to more focus, right, we go to a flashlight. And it's like for us to be able to we have to be able to the executor has to be able to jump back and forth for us to really understand a situation, and not tunnel vision. I'm the king of tunnel vision. Like, me bodybuilding, insane. I was so selfish.
Yeah.
I think that's natural, though. I think everybody that does it the right way go, and that's where and we talked about this too.
That's the sport.
But it's like that's where the whole like being the really selfish sport comes into play, is because the ones that do it right, I think they almost have to get into this mentality of tunnel vision and extreme focus and selfishness,
right? Yeah.
You know, because you eat, sleep, train, essentially is what it boils down to. There's people obviously who do a lot more than that, but falling back on our previous discussion, like I mentioned, they might do more than just eat, sleep, and train, but that other shit that they're doing is getting half of them. Mm-hmm. It's just getting enough of them to get by necessarily. You know, it's not really they're all in on every single aspect, which is why bodybuilding itself has that reputation for being an extraordinarily selfish sport.
There's no such thing as multitasking. It's rapid switching between two tasks. Yeah. You don't do two things at once. You can't. Right. Besides move your hands.
Correct.
You know what I mean? And even then your brain's like, what the fuck? So like, you know, that's just how the brain works.
Yeah.
So you can just jump between.
I think that's super valid. Like I was able to do pretty well up until like 6 to 8 weeks out. Then I started to make mistakes, and that's where, like, I would say my relationship was strained the most, which it wasn't strained because she knew what was happening. You guys knew what was happening, but I could have performed better in those aspects. But like mentally, I didn't have the capacity to facilitate doing any more. Like, it was just not. My brain was shutting down. Like, it literally just feels like you're slowly dying. Like, that's what it feels like.
So anyone who has ambitions of bodybuilding,
well, I mean, let's also
that doesn't sound very intriguing, right?
Like, talk about basketball, talk about like Adam Thielen in football, or, you know, like, do you think that in any professional sport there's not an overabundance of having to be selfish in order to be pop? You know,
MMA is a good one, dude.
Everything.
Yeah. I'll give you a cool example of some dope ass mentality stuff. I saw a video the other day of Kobe Bryant talking. This is, I mean, you want to talk mentality. No one's more true to it than Kobe and Jordan, right? And Kobe was talking about how when he first came to play a game against Jordan, and everyone was just like, whatever you do, don't look him in the eyes. And Kobe's just like, what? And he said, don't look him in the eyes. It gets dangerous from there, essentially. Like, right, the mentality that everyone else had about Jordan was don't look him in the eyes. And Kobe looked at them and said, the fuck you talking about? He better not look me in the eyes. I have that shit too. I have that shit in me too, that they say you shouldn't, like, don't look me in the eyes. Like, he better be careful out there too, because I have that in me too, type shit. That to me is like fucking mentality, bro. Like, unfuckwittable mentality.
Yeah, those two were it.
Yes,
Tom Brady's another one.
Yeah,
right there.
Tom
They're
Brady.
just
He demanded Michael. He idolized Michael Jordan. He mimicked and imitated everything Jordan did on the court. You've seen videos where they show like transitions between Kobe and Michael Jordan playing the game, and it's the exact same body language and shots and everything, but they're just different eras.
Kobe would call Michael.
Yes, all the time.
In the middle of the night and ask
they were
for
great
advice.
friends.
Yeah.
They became great friends because he earned Jordan's respect by not doing what everyone else did to Jordan.
And they both had Tim.
And Tim, but that's another person. So everyone bowed to Jordan. That was their mentality about Michael Jordan. Was like, he's king, get out of his way. He knows what he's doing. You know, like where someone like Tim Grover shows up and just like, look, do what I fucking say and you'll be fine. Otherwise, think you know everything and good luck. Go with the team trainers. Have fun. You know what I mean? Kobe Bryant had that same mentality naturally. I think he had almost had an advantage on Jordan because Jordan had to develop these things and be taught a lot of these things by Tim Grover, where Kobe had the opportunity to study Jordan, learning and becoming all these things. And so Kobe came in with that chip on his shoulder. He came in with that mentality that he was one of the baddest and he can pull off whatever he needed to pull off and shit, you know? So it's like there's a certain mentality. Same in the same scenario, that one of the same videos that I was watching, they were talking about Jordan was just missing shot after shot. He was just, you know, they were all just falling off. And someone in the audience was just like, all your shots none of your shots are dropping. You don't got it anymore or something like that. Your time's up. And they said, Jordan just looked back at this dude and just nodded his head like, okay. And went in the last quarter or some shit, 26 points out, pop, pop, one after the other. And at the end of the game went up to the guy and said, shut up, you little bitch. Like he waited the whole quarter to go back to the guy that was trash talking him in the crowd and just was like, "Shut up, you little bitch."
Could you
After
imagine?
just racking up 26 points because someone got in your head and talked a little shit. Like his mentality is unbelievable. Like it's just insane. Like the stories you hear and see and the things you witness about Michael Jordan and a Kobe Bryant. I don't know if there's a better example of mentality out there.
I'm going to throw another Kobe
other
at you
than
right
like
now.
Goggins, but yeah.
I even think Kobe, the way Kobe explained mentality is even better than Goggins, man. It's crazy. What did he say? Because it's weird because, things happen for me, not to me, right?
Yeah.
So like the very first day of 75 Hard, I'm watching like some videos at the end of the day, and it was like a guy interviewing Kobe and talking about his off-season training, and Kobe's like, what I would do is I would sit down and I'd get it all written out, know exactly what I have and what's going to happen. It's laid out, what would he do? 4 a.m., 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and then 7 p.m. training times. You know what I mean? He's like, I would lay it all out, and then once it's laid out and it's set in stone, I would sign that mental contract with myself. And once that contract is signed, that shit gets done.
Yeah, that's
and that shit is ran through my head nonstop the last 70 days. You know what I mean? And it will for the rest of my life. Because, if you can't it just doesn't get laid out any better. So you sign that contract with yourself, you say you're going to do something, you get that shit done. You get after it right now. That's
the same mentality of again, all successful people talk about this, is writing everything down. Writing things down that you need to get done, that you want to accomplish, etc. Like writing things down changes everything because it's like a contract with yourself once you write it down. And they even say, I think Bob Proctor preaches this all the time, write it down and then sign your signature underneath it. Like sign your name to it so that every time you see that, you view it as like a contract you made with yourself. Like I've heard him say that. So, but again, that's something that's synonymous with the mentality of winning and being successful, is everyone knows the same secret or recipe. It's hard work, determination, ambition, repetition, consistency, whatever you want to call it, writing things down, speaking them into the universe, and then the one that everybody misses when it comes to stuff like that, doing the fucking work. Doing the work that's required to get whatever it is you're trying to manifest. A lot of people they'll write down the list, they'll meditate, they'll say I'm going to manifest, they'll speak it into the universe, they'll make social media post about manifesting, or I'm going to be, or I already am, etc. And then they sit down and they just wait for their wishful thinking to fucking provide.
Please.
Bro. And that's the craziest thing in the world to me, because their mentality is only halfway there.
It's not even like you can sit there and wish for it, but here's the deal in terms of that side of it, not that put the work inside, which is the more important side. This side, if you're going to really just imagine it, you need to sit down and visualize it to the point where it is real. Like you can smell the air, you can like feel your socks on your feet. You know what I mean? Like I'm just naming sensory things. Like, and when it becomes that real over time and practice, you're halfway there. And then you still got to put the work in.
I think it's the same the other way around though. Like putting the work in without having the mentality can also lead to nothingness. A lot of people will do that. They'll grind. They're like, nah, man, I'm doing this because one day I'm going to be huge and successful and filthy rich. And they don't have the mentality to get through certain obstacles that most people with mentality would. They'd say, look, this is just a trial. I'm going to get through it. So no matter how hard they're willing to work, they'll hit a roadblock. And their whole fucking dream would be dead right there at that roadblock because they didn't have the mentality. So it works both ways. You can't just have the mentality without the work, and you can't have the work without the mentality. I can't think of a scenario where that would work out for you.
I like that. You can build the momentum through doing the actions and figure out where your compass is pointing.
Yes.
That would, not to continue to re-reference to Andy Frisella, but like I just listened to one of his podcasts that was talking about macro and micro disciplines.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Yes. And that's exactly what you reminded me of right there. Yeah. That's exactly what that is.
Like, it's legit though. I think that's just, people don't see it that way, man. They really don't. Everyone wants to do it to an extent because they kind of get the concept of it, but they don't dig deeper. Like podcasting. Everyone's listening to podcasting right now, but not everybody's hearing the podcast. You know what I mean? Like they're just, I listen to that guy all the time too. And now we have something in common, and now you can tell I'm on the same path as you, right? It doesn't work that way, right? Like a lot of people just think listening and not applying what they're hearing into their day to day or into whatever their respective situation or goal is. They miss that all the time. People always think they have the idea, or maybe they do in some cases. They just don't have the follow through or the work or all the pieces that are required to get there. And that always 100 times over will be strictly about mentality.
No matter the equation to your success, whatever all the variables are that lead you to that dream that you want, like the two main factors in that equation are actions and time.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah, for sure.
I say I'm not successful right now. I am in my own right with what I do because I love what I do, and I'm grateful for every moment I get.
Look
to
at it
do
this way. I think about you
I'm going to
saying,
be in another 6 years.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like I think about, because you say this
like
kind of stuff a
wild.
lot about yourself, but I sit back and I reflect when you say things like, I'm not where I should be, or
Yeah.
Think of just think of it one time. Where in the tri-state area is anyone doing what you're doing right now and has built what you've built right now? I don't know of a single training team in the tri-state area alone. There's not a training team anywhere I can think of.
The thing for me is like
You're that much more ahead of everyone is what I'm saying already. You might not see it that way, but in actual reflection,
I know where I came from.
But in actual reflection, nobody is doing what Power by Design is doing. Nobody has established themselves at a fucking excellent gym like you have, right? A fabulous gym, I should say. But nobody's established themselves within a gym, a fucking great gym, one of the best gyms probably ever, and built a team around training, right?
Yeah.
There's other gyms like some of these corporate fitness gyms, they have trainers at their gym, so to speak, but there's not a cohesive training atmosphere and direction amongst them.
You got to think about like the quality of the trainers that he also has. It's not like they're just they're NASM certified. No, they have to watch him train his clients. They have to.
Yeah, we don't typically a couple of my trainers might have NASMs now, but
not the fact that it's just
we typically
a NASM.
Push even higher on that. But the thing is, like, it again reps over time. We don't expect a young trainer to beat me. Or, but I do expect me to make that trainer the best possible them they can be over time. Yes, and that's my job. Yeah. My job is to be a leader for
Continued education is important. Most people will get the certs.
Exactly.
And then they're
start
done.
Training right
and they
away.
Just start bullshitting. What you do is you develop your team.
Yeah.
You continue to develop your team, even if they just come to you, which you've never been about. I think like you said, you have one or two that do have just certs, but you're not letting them ride those certs.
No.
You're making sure that they're developing and growing and getting better. In the same breath, you're doing it yourself. So you're leading by example, and you're showing that your mentality has to be duplicated to be part of this team.
We don't get to be world class by sitting around.
But Eric, nobody's doing what Power by Design is doing.
I just don't pay attention to what anybody else is doing. I'm too busy doing what I'm doing.
That's great, but you have to acknowledge your wins. You know what I mean? So that you can keep going.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have to know where you stand so that you can continue to climb. And the work that you've done thus far, you're in a position that nobody else is in when it comes to training teams and trainers.
By the way, I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, but pat yourself on the back for that, because that's a fucking big deal.
For sure.
That's a big deal. There's not another training team anywhere around like this. Like there's trainers in other gyms, sure, but nobody's developed and solidified like you and your team is right now, which is dope. You know what I mean? And yes, you're going to filter through people, especially at the rate that you develop people. Some of them are just going to become really fucking good and move on and do their own thing. And that's awesome, because again, that's accredited to you and the work that you've done and the belief system that you've had in other people to come in and develop as much as they wanted and needed. And in some case scenarios, they move on and they create their own. That's fucking awesome, because you had a role in that.
It's like I think when I get to see somebody move on, which I don't expect anybody to ever fully stay around. You know what I mean? That would be arrogant. If they want to, man, I'm going to be, believe me when I say, the longer you sit at my table is going to continue to grow. Just like the longer I sit at your table continues to grow over time. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's an honor. But like, for me, where my successes lie is watching my wins. It's not, I don't look at the whole macro situation. I look at each individual person, whether they're my client or my coach. And like Devin, for instance, when Devin, went through and passed his test, like that was huge, because that was huge for him, and me getting to celebrate that win with him is far greater than me celebrating my own wins.
Yeah.
Those are my wins. Because guess what? As I, and I learned this from you, as I build them up, make them successful, that makes me successful. That in whatever realm of success you want to look at, like the better that I can make my people, including my clients, if my whole, if we make you fit over time, we did our job. But even more so, if we make you a better person when you leave and you treat people better and you're kinder and all these other things, that's the win.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Then I did my job. Yeah. Then we instill disciplines beyond just the physical. Now you're thinking about yourself, Yeah. And I mean, I feel like that's
where better than a weight loss program.
Dude, if you build that mentality, guess what? The weight's going to fall off because you feel better about yourself. Yeah. You're sitting more in above 50 in that HRV. You're sitting more parasympathetic. Your body's more open for manifestation or for relaxation, restoration, digestion, whatever.
Which essentially boils down to having changed the physiology, everything internally to help.
If I can get them to love themselves and to say that shit out loud,
yes.
Oh man, fuck, game over.
Oh yeah,
game over.
Write that down. It's next.
Right, absolutely. And I always like to say, as far as trainers go, my wife says it best. She's like, train them so well they can leave, treat them so well they don't want to.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately what we're trying to do.
Oh yeah.
And we're just trying to match the culture, man.
I love it. I think it's the same across every one of us. What we're all doing right now, we all have that same mindset. My number one job with sponsoring athletes and bringing people on, especially now with us trying to build culture, and we'll probably end on this this note here, but as we look to build culture, and we all are as a team right now, it has 100% to do with that. I want to build a different kind of mentality in the people that are with us. I want to make sure that we're continuing to grow everybody and make them better and stronger at whatever it is they're doing. And if those people ever leave, they leave knowing that we did nothing but make them better over here on this team.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, we developed them. We're mandating things like reading and growth and mentality and energy and all that. Like the whole vibrational frequency of everything we do within this company is going to match across the board with every person that's a part of it. You will be vetted if you want to join this team. You know what I mean? You will be vetted if you want to join this team, because some people just won't fit the script. Some people won't have the mentality to be a part of what we're trying to create right now.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, and that's going to be the going forward process for all of us. You're doing it in your sector of the Big business. Time. I'm doing it across the board with all the brands, and we're instilling it as a management team.
Well, I mean, and we're doing it, and we're doing it together. Like,
we're meeting regularly to discuss.
And I'm making sure that, and it's real easy when the values and everything already match anyways. Yeah. But, we're using the same core values because we should be on that sort of same page. That's how we grow.
Yeah, I agree.
And like, as far as, I don't know. I lost that one. I lost that one.
I thought we were about to end on a fire note too. I was like, here we go. He's going to send us off. Deion, it's on you now.
Yeah, get it, Deion.
No, I'm good. That was all. I thought that was a very good representation of having a very strong and high cultured mentality, and I'm excited to showcase to every individual that culture that we're bringing and that mentality that we're gonna help form in the people that are on our team as a whole. It's gonna be very good, and we got a lot of big things coming by the end of the year, so it's gonna be fun.
I will leave this, like for those who are listening. When you wake up in the morning, figure out a way to love yourself. Look in the mirror and love who you're looking at. You know what I mean? And then express in the morning how grateful you are and how much you love yourself and how much you love your family and who you're committed to. And what you're committed to and what you're proud of or what you stand for, and start to, over time, morning after morning, start to put these positive thoughts in your head. And, for another podcast, just to see if maybe I get invited back, then we start stoking the reticular activating system. Yeah. The RAS is a completely different beast. That's our periscope. That's where we point out what we want, and your brain starts saying, hey, it's actually everywhere around you. Yeah. So, step one,
explain so people understand the reticular activation, because I don't think a lot of people know. I know what you're talking about.
It's a bundle of nerves that sits in the center of your brain, in the pons, thalamus, top of the spinal cord area. You know what I mean? It kind of sits through the midbrain, you know, or the autonomic area. And it's like, you ever notice that when I like Ed Milet's version, but
buying a new car.
Yeah, he's like, when you buy a new car, like a blue Honda, and all of a sudden, like, or even when you're test driving it, or even when you've been looking at it for a while and looking at it for a while.
Everyone has one now.
And then all of a sudden you can't turn a corner without seeing somebody else having that same blue Honda or another Honda there.
Yeah.
You know, that's your reticular activating system, because you've told it enough times, you've let it into your subconscious enough times that you are very much interested in having a blue Honda, that all of a sudden your brain starts to show you, hey, guess what? There's blue Hondas everywhere. If you just take your time and you look around, there's 100 blue Hondas out there for you to choose from.
Yeah.
Go pick your blue Honda.
That's
you know what I mean?
That's a really good note to end on for mentality, because that's a perfect example in layman's terms of how mentality works for you.
Yeah.
When you change your mindset and you change your mentality about what it is that you want or what you're trying to achieve, being able to see it in everything going forward is the way it works. Like, once you've made up your mind and your mentality is different, you're going to see whatever it is your mentality is changed for everywhere. And that's a really good example. In the same breath, loving yourself more is important, because the more that you wake up every day and love yourself, the more value you're going to put on yourself, and the more you're going to want for yourself even better, because you love yourself so much. And every day you love yourself more and more, to the point where you start saying, you know what, I want better for myself. Right. So if your end goal is weight loss, if your end goal is success, if your end goal is to be the best athlete, or whatever it is you're trying to do as an end goal, the more that you love yourself, the more you will change your mentality about yourself, and then the more you're going to desire for yourself in terms of better. You're going to want better. You're going to try to achieve better. You're going to want to be a better person, because you're going to realize how much you love yourself and how much you deserve to be fucking better. You know,
last thing, promise, as vibrations go, like the vibration of love, you know, it comes from within you. Like, we're vibrate, you know, and we're only, as vibrations go, we're only able to take in the vibrations from the vibration we're on and what's below us. So as we build ourselves up, we create a more open field for us to take in, you know, higher levels of vibration. But the vibration of love comes from within, just like everything else. And if you're not loving yourself, how are you truly going to be able to express that to people around you, to those people you really want to love? If you can't love yourself, how can you send that vibration to somebody else? You can't even keep it in you.
That's true. It's very true.
So
it's a certain mentality for sure, man.
Anyways,
Eric, thank you for joining us, man. This was an awesome topic.
Sure.
Good discussion. We all had a lot of good input.
Yeah.
We'll do a lot more of this, man. You're welcome to come back.
I would love to.
Fucking
this
time,
is
honestly.
fun, man. This is what I've been wanting to do.
Hell yeah. Let's end on a note where you just kind of give a little bit about Power by Design, where people can find you, some reference points, websites, things like that, social media.
Cool. Power by Design Fitness, based out of Metroflex, Jim Fargo. Handle for Instagram, PBD_fitness. You can find our Power by Design Fitness Facebook page, and we also have a website, powerbydesignfitness.com. Or if you have any questions, email me, powerbydesignfitness@gmail.com. It's pretty easy, man.
Cool.
Just gotta learn how to spell it. But like, in the end, I mean, if hopefully that through what we've said here, you can see that when it comes to us coaching, it's not about just the physical. Like, we are here to make you a better person. And when I say that, I'm coaching my team to have the same sort of mentalities and culture that I like to bring to the table. That's who we want to be. So, you know, if you got a goal and you want to crush it, you know, come have a conversation.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Good job.
Yeah.
Deion, let them know.
Yeah, make sure to follow us on H&I Nutrition. On Instagram, it's H&I_nutrition. I'm Deion, and then Larry is my Instagram, and Facebook as well. And thank you guys very much for joining us for this show. John also has a couple more tags.
I just want to sign off with saying to follow Metroflex Jim Fargo at Metroflex Fargo on Instagram and on Facebook. H&I Deion covered, but Ill Eagle Culture Brands as well. Not a lot of people follow that. It's just something we just started branding a lot more lately. So follow us at Ill Eagle_Culture Brands on Instagram, and Ill Eagle Culture Brands on Facebook, and then I am at Ill Eagle_CEO on Instagram as well. Thanks, guys. Appreciate your time. Appreciate you listening. Oh, yeah. Don't forget to share, like, forward this, whatever you can do to help build the interest in it, and we'll have another one for you guys next week. Thanks for joining us, Eric.
Awesome. Peace.